let's talk about the foundation. So before we get into what the foundation is all about and what your role is, I mean, look, these tools change so quickly, and I feel like so much could have changed since the early versions of what OpenClaw was and what it is today. So tell us, what are you able to do with the tool today, and how has that changed over the last 2 weeks even?
The last 2 weeks have been largely focused on security. So there's, obviously hundreds of thousands, if not millions, more people using the product, and security is a major component of what we're doing. And so most of the effort over the last 2 weeks has really been on hardening security, improving performance, adding more models, and just listening to the community, and also trying to get more people on board. We've added a couple new maintainers, things like that. So really, the story right now is that overwhelming demand. It's now the second largest open source project on GitHub, larger than Linux, and so just trying to keep up with the storm.
And so help me understand what role the foundation plays now in all this. What are your priorities, and what is your role in all this?
Yeah, I mean, the foundation's role is to protect the project, enable the community, enable stability. Now that this has become such a large thing in the world that we live in technology, it's important that it has resources to, continue developing the open source project, get more maintainers involved, empower the ecosystem. That requires just a lot of little things. And importantly, we've been have just an unbelievable amount of people that want to help out. And so the foundation ensures OpenClaw's independence, regardless of where Peter works or who else is involved. We want to kind of be a Switzerland of AI.
What does the community want to do with the tool? Like, if you were to sort of think about what the roadmap is to further develop it, I mean, what are some of the ideas that people have on how to make it better? And walk us through sort of what your game plan is for the next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of one of the things that's been a big focus the last couple of weeks is that, OpenClaw is your personal AI. It should be yours. And one of the things that we've been trying to explain to people is that this is not designed to be a multi-user game. There's a lot of people using it in a multi-user way. And one of the problems with that is that if there's multiple people collaborating with the same bot, the bot will respond to anyone, and there's no privacy. You can try to set up the rules so that it maintains different communication with different people, but the architecture of OpenClaw was designed for one person, one bot, and so that's one thing that has been going on quite a bit. And I think that the longer term roadmap we'll talk about more as the storm quiets down a little bit. But right now, it's just focused on security and making what's there today much better and much more secure.
What was your reaction to the bigger tech companies? I mean, some tech companies have sort of banned it; they've blocked access to it. What's been your reaction to it?
I think that that's it's reasonable that the bigger model companies, they want to know who's using API keys. You're seeing this play out across the ecosystem. I mean, you're even seeing this play out on X, right? Nikita over at X has been talking a lot about understanding who on X is a bot, who is not, right? And I think that's going to be a huge conversation over the next year. And so I think that's mostly what we're seeing. We're seeing that people really want to understand what's using an API key or a token. There's been a lot of kind of nuanced conversation about like, why can't I use my Max subscription for this or a token for that? And it seems that the model companies have a very reasonable position on this, which is that they want to know what's using the tokens and why. And so our perspective is like, that's fine. And, uh, as time goes on, we're going to figure out better models for this. And it's just a little bit of bumps in the road right now.
One of the things I wanted to get your take on is the adoption curves of these technologies, and you've seen a number of different versions of software play out in terms of adoption, going from just early users to really getting uh, everyone using them. And I can't tell if today with a tool like OpenClaw, I mean, it comes out. X, as you mentioned, X is noisy. People get loud about it. They're proud about it. They start posting about it, and on the surface, it seems like adoption is happening faster because people are making so much noise about it. I can't tell if that's actually the truth of the matter, and if new tools are getting adopted faster compared to I don't know, a decade ago, or I mean, is it really just just the case that people have a place to talk about it that's a little noisier now?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, I think one of the curves you can look at is the GitHub stars. The number of GitHub stars that happened on OpenClaw is literally a straight vertical line.
And for people who might not be familiar with it, just walk us through quickly how valuable is a GitHub star?
Well, GitHub is the place where all of the code is, people keep the code that they share with others in the open source community. It enables people to download the code, run it themselves. It's what enables you to download OpenClaw onto your Mac or whatever computer you want to run it on, and use it. And so there's also the possibility that you can download that code and improve it, and then suggest improvements to the project to add them. And when people really love a piece of, a project, they give it a star on GitHub. And you can also look at the number of downloads of the project. There's a bunch of different, metrics on GitHub, but the speed at which OpenClaw went to the number 2 project in the world is unprecedented. And so it suggests not just that people are looking at this, but they're actually using it and improving it. And, I don't know the answer to your question. Like, is that because the internet is global and, we've got always on X and, live streaming technology TV to talk about this stuff? Um, I don't know. There's probably some element of that, but I also think that the way that these things go truly vertical like this is because they're great, and
Yeah.
because people tell each other about it, and that doesn't just happen through the internet, but it happens, word of mouth and person to person, and people telling each other, "Hey, this is the best thing that I've ever used." I mean, that's the reason I'm sitting here with you.
Right.
I was, really inspired by this, and so I reached out to Peter late December, early January, just to tell him how much I appreciate what he built. And so
So you
that's
guys didn't know each other before
no,
he released it?
no.
Wow. What was so you just told him, you said, "I wanna be involved," and he said, "Sure, come on."
It
Like, what
was
was it?
it was less I want to be involved and more I just genuinely appreciate what you've built. This is the first time that I felt like I've been living in the future, maybe since the LAMP stack in the early 2000s when, we built a lot of the early web software, or maybe the iPhone. Like, it was out of genuine respect and gratitude. I've not had this much fun building things in a really long time. And so that's what started the conversation.
I just wanna go back to the adoption piece because I think, m just to sort of extend it, I mean, I think the GitHub star example is interesting because this really means that, the early adopters, the developers, I mean, they clearly are using these tools faster, and you can look at the arc or the
Yeah.
the slope maybe of that line as one proxy for that. But, I mean, the broader question I have is the pace of adoption of new software as a whole, broadly speaking. I mean, do you think that is going to be any faster today than it was 10 years? And I'm talking about, people who don't have any developer
Yeah.
background. I
The
mean,
numbers the numbers would suggest yes, right? ChatGPT was the fastest growing consumer internet app in history, right? Like, there's many charts. I don't have charts that I can throw up right now, but
right.
you can look at the chart of ChatGPT's growth versus Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat, and it's it it far exceeds the adoption of those other applications in different eras, right? And so it suggests that the consumer demand and the developer demand, and by the way, the investor demand for AI as a technology is much more meaningful than any prior technology that you and I could sit here and come up with in our in our heads as we talk.
So, last question for you. Peter is now at OpenAI. What can you tell us about what you think what OpenAI and Peter are gonna be working on together, given his expertise?
Well, I think those questions are for Peter. But what I can tell you is that OpenAI has been, very supportive of the foundation, and the process so far has been lovely. And so, I think we're all just trying to figure out how this is going to work out together. And it's great that they were open to supporting this as an independent foundation. I think this is really the lamp stack moment for AI. And I and the foundation are just really focused on making sure that this open source project stays safe, protected, and that we empower like a massive software ecosystem on top of it that people can build businesses, people can venture capital can invest, and this turns into a beautiful ecosystem.
Great. Well, Dave, I want to thank you for coming on. That is Dave Morin, the founder of Offline Ventures and the first independent director of the OpenClaw Foundation here on TI TV.